Okay, so it's been a minute before I made a video for my channel, and I'm wanting to keep things still on the primitive tip, but there are some interesting tidbits, some interesting what I call resilient living tools and concepts and tactics and things like that that I will try and kind of sprinkle in it from time to time. There's plenty of really what I call modern survival, resilient living, resilient survival, military survival channels out there with people that actually have that military background and experience. I do not. But what I will share is what I find interesting and kind of what works for me. And in this video here, I'm going to, there's been some videos floating around on making a impromptu gas mask out of these old 2-liter bottles, clear ones. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can regurgitate that information and see if we can make a gas mask out of this. Now, I like to be very practical about the stuff that I make and the stuff that I show. I don't have a tear gas box. I don't have, I could probably put some dried red peppers into a coffee grinder and get the particles in the air, but I'm not the only one that lives in my space, and so I'm not trying to put them through that sort of torture. I will kind of test it on my own using that sort of paradigm. What I implore you to do is, be careful. Try at your own risk, and follow the instructions. I'm sure you can do a search on the internet for homemade or plastic bottle gas masks, and really break it down on and really get the information and break it down on how you actually make something like that, and then if you choose to do so, test it for yourself. So I'm just more or less regurgitating the information so that I have it for later in case I choose to forget, or for anybody else that happens to be meandering on through and finds this of interest on my channel. But I do implore you, do your own research, make sure that make sure that you're safe first and foremost. So basically what I've got here is I've got a 2-liter bottle that I've cleaned out, pretty much emptied it out, didn't drink the pop, super diet oranges. Ugh. I have a can here, pop or energy drink or whatever, that's empty. The most important ingredient I have is this black activated charcoal, or it's carbon. This you get at the aquarium supply store or the pet store. I'm not sure if actual wood charcoal would work. I would suppose it would. Again, that's another research point to double check. But then again, testing it is a whole nother thing. So at any rate, I'll put a link. I'll share a link of where you can probably pick something like this up if you don't have that sort of thing in your area, if you choose to give this a try. But this is the main important ingredient here. I've got duct tape, and I actually like the real good stuff duct tape, pair of scissors, and a blade. It's my karambit blade. And this is just cutting tools essentially. I've got some thicker rubber bands here. We'll need those, and I've got a couple of other filtering materials as well here, and there's a number of different ones here. I've got paper towel. It's paper toweling here. This is gauze from a first aid kit. This is some extra stuff, nice and fluffy. I've got some cotton here, some cotton balls that'll work as well. And then I also have kind of more like these painter's masks that offer a filtering material that is good for just kind of light work when you're painting or sanding or something like that. So these are just some ideas as part of the filtering, another filtering material that can be used. So first thing, we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut this the shape out of the this 2-liter bottle. First thing we're going to do is we're going to cut this out. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the label here. Just take the scissors here and just kind of rip this off. We don't need this. Push it up there. There we go. So we've got the plastic off. This is the side that's going to face that we're gonna put on towards our face here. The side that has the plastic here, the wrapper's still there, and there's already lines here that I'm going to use as a gauge, and so I'm just going to start a little cut here, and I'll go ahead and take my shears here because it's a little easier. Just go ahead and cut using the line to cut the bottom out. Just like so. So we don't need this, get rid of that. Alright, so we basically have this configuration. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to, right at the bend here is where I'm going to stop cutting. But I want to cut, most people will cut straight down the side laterally this way. I will wear glasses, so I'm going to go a little bit off center to give me more of a deeper a visor, if you will. So I'm just going to basically just kind of cut this out, like so. Go back up the top, like that. So we're just basically cut this out. So we have this sort of thing going on. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this up to my face to make sure that my glasses are covered. They're not 100% covered, so I would have to, in an emergency situation, modify my glasses or something like that. But just for the sake of this demo, we'll go with this. I probably also would get a different shape of plastic bottle. So next what we're going to do is going to take some duct tape, and want to be able to grab some duct tape. So I basically I'll take my duct tape and just wrap the top like so. And I want to do this to keep from cutting my face because the edges of the plastic is sharp. Fold this down. Okay, around this area where it excuse me, there's a curve here, a turn with your tape, you may want to add some snips to it. That'll help fold it down a little bit easier as you attach this tape to the mask here. Like so. So again, it's real quick and dirty. That's what I like about this particular way of doing it, because I look for stuff that's expedient but useful. And you know, I could spend more time and make this really pretty and perfect and stuff like that. You know, and that's based on what you got going on. But if you had only 10-15 minutes to fashion one of these, then you're not really worried about getting something that looks pretty, or rather you shouldn't, as long as it's functional. That's what you should be concerned about, functionality. Whether it's going to block the particulates or not, protect you from them, is what should be your primary focus for this. Alright, so we've got this pretty much taped up. Okay, so we have this taped up like so, just around the edges and around the bottom here. And and again, not a very pretty job, but this is for demo, something real quick to make. And so next, what we want to do now, we'll set this aside, and we want to prep our can. Now, the can is going to provide our filtering canister, basically filtering compartment. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and turn this upside down, and we want to punch some holes in the bottom. Alright, so we put some holes in the bottom of the can, and carefully. That's why I'm using my my blade here, this very pointed blade here, being careful. and I'm just going to bore holes in it. Okay, so this is what we got going on here for the bottom, and this blade actually turned out worked pretty good. This is a karambit, or they call it a chicken knife. It's an Indonesian blade. Put your finger through it this way, and it's in a reverse grip like so, and it's more for hooking, and then you can flip it out like so, and this is more for grabbing like so. That's the type of blade this is a karambit, but it works pretty good for this sort of work. So next, what we want to do is we take the can, and I'm going to basically go up halfway and just cut it. So you want to bore the holes first before you cut it in half. Listen, be careful doing this so you don't cut yourself. So, don't need that part. So now we have the bottom canister here, like so. Okay. All right. So next is where we will put. This is where our filtering, our cloth filtering material comes in. So again, I could use any one of these. Paper towel might be the most easiest to procure. This time I'm going to use some cotton, but just from a conceptual standpoint, this is what you're going to do. Is you're going to take your fiber filter ring material, and yeah, that's the deal. This is nice. So I want to kind of break this up. It's kind of cotton like that. And I want to tamp this down, break these fibers up just a little bit, but I want to tamp this down in the bottom first. No, I don't need that much. And be careful not to cut yourself on the edges of the can. You don't want to sustain an injury, especially if you're working too fast on this in an emergency situation. I'm going to tamp that down. Okay, so we have this with the cotton on the bottom here. And then I'm going to take our activated charcoal, activated carbon, and spoon some on top of it. So apparently this charcoal is what filters out the particulates that would do you harm. And the fiber filtering material is really to help hold the carbon in there, but also help filter out as well. So then on top of here, so we've got our first layer of cotton, then in the middle we're putting charcoal, and then in the top we're going to put this layer of cotton. And again, regardless of what filtering fibers you're going to use, the structure would be the same. So you're basically sandwiching the charcoal with your fibers, your filtering fibers. So again, be careful not to cut yourself with the rough can here. Now this is where a paper towel might come in handy, or a bandana or something like that. By the way, you could use cloth as well, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to take a piece of paper towel. Now I could have done this whole sandwich thing with the paper towel, but we're just using the paper towels specifically for this next here. And I've got one ply, I've got 2 plies, and then what I'm going to do is then fold this on top like that. So we've got 4 plies of the paper towels. All right, and again, if you get a strong paper towel like that one brand, whatever it's called, the Bounty or whatever it is, and it's really tough, or whatever they tout as being a real tough paper towel, that's even better. Okay, but we want to set this on top. I'm eyeballing this, and I'm just going to cut this kind of in a circular pattern, or rip it if you didn't have a pair of scissors, or use your knife. Okay. So yeah, that's about right. Don't want to be, can have it too small but not too big, so I would be careful with this. Otherwise I have to start over. So there, I just want to put this on top like so. Okay. Then next, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip these. You don't have to do that in 4 corners. Like that, real quick and dirty. And then I'm going to grab my tape. I like to rip my tape up, and I'm just gonna get like 4 pieces of tape so that I can anchor these down. Excuse me. So take this one, anchor that down on one side, take another, anchor it down. Now I added the slits so that this would fold down nicely, but it looks like we won't have that much of a problem because the size of this cover. But I'm just doing this as a placeholder. This is easier. It's an easy trick. Cool. So that's kind of, you got everything kind of tacked down like that. And then now you can take your longer piece of duct tape and then just attach, wrap everything. Again, this is not going to be very pretty, but we're looking for function versus form in this particular case. So grab another piece of duct tape here. And lastly, okay, so I'm going to take our duct tape here, and I want to make sure that the cap, I'm going to call this the cap of this makeshift gas mask, is covered. And secure all the way around. So we've got a nice little cup here. This is our filter, basically our filter. Like so. Okay, now what we're going to do next is we can go ahead, and if you have the cap for your bottle, for your mask part, you can get rid of that. You don't need it. Some tutorials that I've seen this done with do still use this. So I'll still save the cap, and maybe I'll go back and do a more detailed one, depending on how this one goes. But like I said, do your research. They're out there. I'm just kind of doing this because I think it's kind of fun. I think it's kind of neat to share. So the next part here is we want to take our our little canister here, our filter here, and I'm just going to make an X. Like so. And I'm doing this, and I want it small because what I'm going to do is I want to then take our cap here and kind of work it in there so it fits, just like so. Okay, so it fits in there just like that. Okay, so now what I want to do next is now I'm going to attach the filter canister to the visor. All I want to do is just make sure this is centered, tack that, just like that. Duct tape is your friend in this instance. works here. So basically that's the first layer. I'm going to put another layer on here to make sure this is nice and airtight and secure. But essentially this is what you get. This is how it looks. That's your filter. Now before I finish tacking everything down, now is the time that I want to try and put this on and see if I can breathe. So again, I'm going to try this with a different type of bottle, because this type of bottle is not deep enough for people who wear glasses. In my particular instance, I would probably have to really wrap these around my head and kind of tie them up so that they stay on, and so that these can be smashed against my face like that. So, but I'm going to go ahead and take these off, and then I can just put this on. So you have to breathe kind of slowly at first, but once this loosens up, that's why you don't want to put too much of the fiber filter in there. Just want to make sure that you don't suffocate yourself, because you can build this whole thing, put it on, and you can't breathe. So yeah, this will work in a pinch. There definitely has to be something to be done to add a little bit more of a breathability with this. I'm just going to be honest, but you know, as long as you can control your breathing and you're not hyperventilating or asthmatic, this could work in a pinch. But again, you have to be very careful with this. I just want to caution you with that. So the next one I build will probably play around with the kind of the ratios of the charcoal and that. But again, I don't have a gas chamber or a tear gas chamber or whatever to really test this on. So I'm just kind of going, like I said, I'm just regurgitating what I've seen. I think it works. I mean, in fact, I know it works. We were processing peppers in the house the other day. That's what inspired me to begin to make this anyways. But as far as running from house to house with this sort of thing attached to your face and being able to breathe at a regular rate, highly doubtful at that at this point. So I'll take around with this a little bit more, and I'll get back to you on you know, what the ratio is, or how to fix the make sure it filters like it should, but still be airtight, but maximizes your breathing. So there's all these different variables that have to come together, I suppose. So anyway, we're going to finish this up, but for now, like I said, I'm just going to kind of shake this up a little bit. Maybe that'll loosen it up. Yeah, kind of like Darth Vader a little bit, but it's doable. It's doable. You just have to breathe slowly. Okay, so this is pretty much about done. So all we got to do now, see, again, it was real quick and easy, relatively. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna bore a hole, and we're gonna put our rubber bands or our fasteners onto it. I just want to make a hole there, make another hole there. That's what we're doing here. And then we'll take our rubber bander. I think one should be good. And then these kind of thicker ones, that's what the ones you want. Go ahead, and what I want to do is I want to run this on the inside and poke it through the hole there on the inside. I'm just going to tie a knot. Yeah, so hopefully this will fit over my face. Hopefully it doesn't snap. So let's put it on. Yeah, for the most part it's on there. You really probably can't hear me. And definitely kind of Darth Vader-esque, I guess. But I can breathe for the most part. But when I breathe out, it wants to push away from my face. Hopefully you can hear that. So what I might want to do is attach another rubber band down here, towards the bottom here. But for the most part, I can breathe. So I would just be curious as, you know, actually how this would work in like a tear gas situation or something like that. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. So anyways, I don't know. I'm just not that witty. I'm sure there's all kinds of Star Wars references I could do with this, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you could hear me in that. Not much for communication. I think if you were traveling in a group or with a bunch of people, you'd have to use a lot of hand signals. You'd definitely have to slow down your breath. You'd have to be controlled. I would probably go so far as to say that there would probably have to be another attachment down towards the bottom, because when you do breathe out, it wants to push away from your chin. Again, with chemical substances, I don't know if they get up in there like that, because when you do inhale, then it sticks to your face and it's like really airtight. I mean, it's like it's airtight. And if you didn't have an opening here, you would suffocate. But like I said, you could kind of shake this up a little bit, kind of loosen it up. So I definitely wouldn't pack this so tight. I would think that would be a criteria, would be of paramount, not to pack your filter too tight, and just to make sure that you can breathe. Because again, the whole purpose of probably fashioning something like this is you're going to be under stress, and you're going to be you're going to be breathing. You know, you're going to be breathing heavy, and I know what it's like. I've been physical enough in my life to know that you will be needing oxygen in an emergency situation. So for something like this is definitely something to experiment with, to find out the exact ratio of A, what's going to protect you, and B, what's going to allow you to breathe. So that would be my takeaway from something like this. Could it work in a pinch? I'm pretty sure if you could maintain yourself being calm. But if you were to make something like this for your loved one or someone else who doesn't have the right mindset and is in the right space, or even has health issues, has asthma, or they tend to hyperventilate, or they have anxiety issues and stuff like that, they just probably wouldn't be able to process. They wouldn't be able to calm themselves down long enough, or enough to be able to get enough oxygen in to keep going. And let alone, like I said, running from block to block, trying to escape and evade or whatever. So again, something to experiment with, something to kind of play with, something to get more information on, more research on as a tool. It's good to know this kind of knowledge. It might become useful. Hopefully it never does, hopefully, but you know, this is something that you definitely got to figure out what the exact ratio in the formula is going to be. But for the most part, you know, it works, and I think it's kind of cool. Yep. So I'm going to, for my next project, I'm going to find another plastic bottle that I think will accommodate someone who wears glasses like myself. And so that would be the next thing. This piece here, again, it sticks to your face, which is fine. It does offer some plastic protection. This is thin plastic, so it's not going to offer a whole lot of protection from projectiles or shrapnel and stuff like that, but definitely for liquids to protect you. If you really do need your glasses to see, like depth perception, then you definitely will have to find. I'm going to find a way to what kind of bottle would work, plastic bottle would work best to do this sort of thing in, so to accommodate glasses. So at any rate, this is a homemade gas mask out of activated charcoal, duct tape, pop can, and then a 2-liter bottle and a rubber band. So and some cotton.